Hello friends and fans, and welcome to Wine and Canvas Indianapolis Online. My name is Bird, and I'm going to be your instructor. And this is the beautiful painting that we're about to do. But before we get started, let's go over a few things just to make your job at home a little bit easier. The first thing is our apron. Typically in the studio, we provide aprons to everybody to try to prevent any paint from getting on their clothing. And the good thing is we just recently started providing plastic aprons in your kits. If you did not receive one of your aprons, we're sorry, but we probably delivered your material to you before we got our shipment of aprons in. Now, if you don't have an apron, that's perfectly fine. You can wear older clothes that you don't mind paint getting on. The good thing about this is even if you do get paint on your clothing, it will come out as long as you wash it within 48 hours. Now in the studio, I always tell everybody to make sure that if you get paint on your clothing, go home, throw a little shout on it, give it a slight scrub and throw it in the washer. And as long as you wash it within 48 hours, it will come out. However, if you don't wash it within 48 hours, it won't come out. So be very cautious. And if you get paint on your clothing, make sure you get it washed out before it stains your clothing, because the last thing that we want to do here at Wine and Canvas is to ruin anybody's clothing. If you have an apron, go ahead and put your apron on. And if you don't have an apron, make sure you go put something on real quick that you don't mind paint getting on. Just pause the video and go and get your apron on. I'm going to put mine on right now while you guys are putting yours on. Okay, so now we all have our aprons or our older clothes on, and we're protecting our clothing. So the next thing that we want to go over is our paint brushes. For this painting, we're going to be using 4 brushes, and everybody should have received 4 brushes in their kit. Let's go ahead and pick those brushes up now. At Wine and Canvas, we refer to our paintbrush by number. Number 1 is our smallest brush. This is your fine point liner brush. All the way up to number 4 being our largest brush. So we have a 1, 2, 3, and 4 brush. So if I tell you guys that we're going to use our number 3 brush, go ahead and pick out your number 3 brush and hold them up to your TVs. I can't see them, but I bet you that you guys are all holding up your number 3 brush and you're actually ready to start painting. But let's go over a couple more things first. The next thing is our water cups. We did not provide a water cup for you guys in your kits, so you guys are going to want to go ahead and get a cup. Now, this could be any kind of cup. You can use a styrofoam cup, a paper cup, a plastic cup, a mason jar, or even a cup from your cupboard. If you're using a cup from your cupboard, don't worry. Just like with your clothing, as long as you wash it, it will come out. It's acrylic paint, and it actually is pretty forgiving. So go ahead and get you a cup of water. Make sure that you fill it at least halfway up with water, so that way you can dip your paintbrushes in. And once you get your water, go ahead and take those 4 brushes and set them upside down in your cup of water. Okay, now let's go over our paint. Everybody should have received a paper plate with little cups of paint in your kits. This paint is the paint that we're going to be using for our painting. Now, the way I would advise for you to do this is leave your paint in your cups and only pull enough out of the cup that you need to actually do the part of the painting that we're going to be working on. So I'll pull a little bit of paint out of my cup, apply it onto my paper plate, so that way I can mix the water in with it or mix any other colors with it that I'm going to need to actually achieve the color blending that we're going to have in our painting. And the very last thing that you're going to want is your wine. This is Wine and Canvas after all, so it's not Wine and Canvas if you don't have your wine. We do have wine, and we actually sell wine and beer, and we'll deliver it to your home with your kits for any future class that you actually do with us. All you have to do is let us know that you want our drink menu, and we'll be happy to send that over to you so you could choose whatever drinks that you want while you're doing a class with us. Now, if you have your wine, Let's go ahead and have a toast. Thank you all for joining in on our class. So we're going to start off with our number 4 brush. And we're going to start off by putting water all over our whole canvas. So I'll just keep dipping into my water cup, and I'm going to go and put water all over the whole canvas. The reason why we do this is because acrylic paint dries really fast. So by putting water onto the canvas prior to us doing our painting, it is going to enable us to have a little bit more time to manipulate the paint the way that we want. The trick is that we just don't want water draining down the canvas. So once I get the water on the canvas, I'm just going to continuously brush it into the canvas itself. Alright, now I'm going to pick up a little bit of white paint, and I'm going to go right into the center, and I am going to do these little bitty X patterns, and we're going to do this right in the very center in an oval shape. Then I'm going to pick up a little bit of yellow. I'm not going to rinse my brush. I'm just going to pick that yellow up and draw a yellow line around my white. And then I'm going to start doing that X pattern, these little bitty X patterns, just going right outside my white, pulling that yellow away from the white. Need to get a little bit more yellow, that's fine, but we want to start off by pulling that yellow away from our white. Then we'll rinse our brush and we'll fade the yellow into the white. Once I get my yellow on, I rinse my brush out, and I'm going to very lightly start pulling the edge of that yellow into the white and fading it together. And you're going to notice it's going to start turning into a little creamy color. And using a little bit of water on the tip of your bristles will help this go a long way. Now, I only used a little bit of water on the tip of the bristles instead of dipping the whole brush into the water, because we don't want water to accumulate onto the metal part of our brush and then drip off onto our canvas during the course of the painting. So we get a little bit pulled in. I'm going to rinse my brush again. And with my clean brush, I'm going to go in and start pulling the residue of that yellow into the white a little bit more. Now we should begin to get a nice soft transition fade here. Got our white kind of fading out into the yellow, or your yellow fading into the white, and it's got that nice gradation in between the yellow and the white. And even though my hand moves really fast, you notice I'm doing the little X patterns. Now we're going to go around our yellow, and I'm going to use a little bit of white to start off. So I'm going to take just a little bit of that white, put it on right on the outer edge of my yellow. And I'm really going to only focus on the very top half of this. I'm not going to worry about the bottom part just yet. So bring a little bit of white right on the outer edge of the yellow, all the way around the top. And once you do that, start blending that white down into your yellow. Because next we're going to start going in with a little purple, fading it into the white, to where when the purple is faded onto the white, it actually becomes a nice light purple, fading off into the darker purple up in our corners. Now at this time, you're going to want to actually wrap the paint onto the edge of your canvas, as well as the top edge when we go to paint those edges. So I'm going to grab a little bit of purple with my number 4 brush, and I'm going to bring that purple all across the top, starting off. And go ahead and grab a little bit of purple and put on the very top edge of your canvas. And you want to wrap it onto your side edges as well. Using a little bit of water on your brush, just like we spoke about before, very tip of the bristles. It's going to help the purple and white blend together. Next, I'm going to rinse my brush out. And then I'm going to use my clean brush and pick up just a little bit of white. And I'm going to start bringing that white up into our purple. We want to give that effect that it's getting lighter and lighter as it's coming down towards the yellow, but it's still dark up in our upper corners. By adding the white, it's going to actually achieve this effect that we're looking for. As you notice, my purple is starting to get lighter the more that I bring the white up into it, but I'm not going up into our corners with the white. Instead, I'm putting that white right on the edge of my purple and fading it up into it. And when I do go up into my corner here, I'm going to make sure that I don't have any white on my bristles. Instead, it's just a little bit of water to help loosen that purple back up to give myself that fade that I'm looking for. Once you do this, go ahead and rinse your brush again. And pick up a little bit of yellow. And I'm going to go right on the inner edge of that white where my yellow already is, and then I'm going to start fading that yellow out into the white and purple. let you all catch up here real quick. Now, if you need a little bit more time to catch up, go ahead and pause this. Other than that, next thing that we're going to do is we're going to mix a light pink color, and I'm going to take that pink and put it right on the outer edge of where my white and yellow are meeting. To mix your pink, you'll mix a little bit of white and the tiniest little bit of red to give yourself a nice little bubblegum pink color. Don't need to be too dark. And I'm just going to put a little bit of this pink. We don't want to put a whole lot of it. After I put my little bit of pink on, I'll go ahead and rinse my brush out. And then I want to repeat my fading process. With just a little bit of water, I'm going to go in and fade this pink into my yellow, out into my purple. Don't be afraid to use a little bit of that water. As you notice, I'll continuously pull my hand out of the focus of the camera, and when I'm doing so, I'm dipping into my water and going back into my fade, which is how I'm getting these nice soft fades. Now the trick with doing a fade is you want to be super light-handed and use just the very tip of the bristles, going back and forth in this little X pattern. Sometimes you won't go in an X pattern, but for the purpose of our painting today, we're just going in these little bitty X patterns. But in the end of your fading process, the ultimate goal is to have your colors fading from one color into the other with nice soft transition tones in between. We don't want a color and then it immediately stops and then bam, there's another color. Instead, we want that nice soft transition fade. So using a little bit of water on the tip of your bristles is going to help you achieve this. As you can see, when I put my brush onto my canvas, it leaves a wet residue. That is because I'm using that water. So don't be afraid to pick a little bit of that up and use it into the course of this. Pick up a little bit more yellow and go in and just smooth the edges where my yellow is meeting our pink and purple. Just grabbing a little bit of that yellow and pulling it out into those other colors. It's going to give you that soft fade that we're looking for. If you like the fade the way that you've already got it, don't worry about putting more yellow. It's totally up to you. Once I get done with that part, I'm going to grab a little bit of white and put it back in the center and just fade that back out into my yellow. And you're going to repeat these processes until you're thoroughly satisfied with the way that your background looks. if you need to pause the video, feel free to do so. The great thing about our online classes is you're not rushed. You can do this painting in your own time. Even if you need to pause it for a couple hours and go fix dinner for your family, go right ahead. Do whatever you need to do, then come back down in your own time, press play, and finish your painting. Now we're going to go in and we're going to create our horizon line. To do this, I'll pick up a little bit of white with my number 4 brush. And I'm going to go halfway down on my canvas. And then just about 2 fingers down from our halfway point. And I'm going to do a horizontal line going straight across. Now, this does not have to be a perfectly straight line, but I'm going to get it as close as I can. And then I'm just going to start pulling that white down. And instead of doing an X pattern with my fade, now we're going to start doing the bottom part of our canvas. And I'm going to focus our fading just simply by going from side to side. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up a little bit of white. And I'm going to pull some of it down just in the center for right now. As I'm coming down, I'm going to bring it to where it's getting wider on the bottom, and I'm coming about a finger's width away from the lower left corner, about 2 fingers away from my lower right corner. We want it to be more narrow as it's getting to our light source and our horizon line, and it gets a little bit more spread out as it's coming down towards you. So using right now just a little bit of water and a little bit of white, I'm going to go and I'm going to start filling in this area. I'm not really concerned about taking it outside of the lines that's coming down from our horizon line to our lower corners. Now I'm going to get a little bit of yellow. I'm just going to put a little bit of that yellow right there in my white. Then I'll turn my brush to where the bristles are horizontal. I'm going to put these little streaks of yellow here and there going down. I focused more of it right here in this area that I'm working on. So we want that to be the second brightest point. Once I get my yellow on, I'll grab some water. I'm going to go in and just fade it into the white. Now we want to grab a pink, just like we did in our sky. The only difference is I want this pink to be just slightly darker. So if you don't have any more pink, go ahead and mix some up. If you have some still, just add a little bit more red. And then go in and add some of these darker streaks of pink. I'm just holding my bristles horizontal and very lightly just tapping my canvas, going side to side to leave these streaks. Then I'll rinse my brush out. And guess what? Now we're going to, with a clean brush, go in and very lightly fade these pink streaks into our yellow and our white. Just hold your bristles vertical and very lightly with the tip of the bristles go back and forth with a little bit of water. And you're going to notice that it's starting to fade together just the way that we want. The idea is that this is going to be the path that our couple is walking on. And as it's coming down to the bottom of the canvas, it's capturing less light, so it's getting darker and darker. I'm going to throw a little bit more yellow in there. You notice I'm not focusing on top of the streaks of pink. I'm going mostly in between. And then I'm just going to lightly fade them all together. Just like that. Those are beautiful colors. I'm going to grab a little bit of purple. Let's put a little bit of purple down there on the bottom. And bring some of that little purple up into the actual walkway. Even though it gets lighter as it gets up toward our horizon line and light source, we still want little indications of some shadow effect in there. So go ahead and put a little bit of purple streaks and just fade them right in. There we go, that's nice. I still want it to get a little bit darker down there though. So let me grab a little bit more purple. I'm going to put a little bit more dot down there. And I want to grab a tiniest little bit of red here. And I want to put a little bit of red in there. I'm not going to put a whole lot, just some here and there. And then just go in and start fading it together. Now I like that. I like the way that my red and purple are blending. I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush out. And then I'm going to go in and lightly fade them together a little bit more. Just smooth it out. Once you get done with that, go ahead and rinse. Then we're going to get a little bit of green and we're going to go on both sides here. And I want you to think of this almost like a half triangle. I'm going to start up with the horizon line on my left. And I'm going to define this area. It's an upside down half of a triangle. And I'm going to fill it completely in with green. If you pick up a little bit of that other color, that's perfectly fine. It'll blend right into the green. Once I get that side done, I'm going to pick up a little bit of yellow, and I want to fade that yellow right into it. The yellow is actually acting as a base, and it's going to help your green cover more area, and you won't see that much of the other colors coming through from behind. And I also want to lighten it up a little bit. Then I'm going to go over to my other side, and I'm going to do the exact same thing with green, and then add a little bit of yellow. And as you can see, you're starting to notice what is going to become our pathway that our couple is walking on. going to take my brush and I'm going to rinse it out thoroughly. I'm going to switch to a number 3 brush. I'm going to smooth it out and give myself a nice finer point by pulling the bristles very lightly like this. I'm going to pick up a little bit of green. I'm going to hold it to where my bristles are vertical, and I'm going to lightly touch the canvas and then just flick my brush up, just like that. As soon as you touch the canvas, just flick. Flick, 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 flick. If you say that, it actually makes it a little bit more fun. Now every one of you guys are saying it in your head. It's like the Dory song. Just flick, 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 flick. This is giving us the little bit of indication that there's some grass blades just poking up here and there. Maybe it's time for this grass to get cut. I'm going to do the same thing over on the other side once I get done with this side. Come over to the right. Once again, just very lightly touch your canvas with your bristles vertical and just flick. It's all on the wrist. Or more yet, it's all on the fingers. I'm not really moving my wrist. Once we get done with both sides, we're going to let this thing dry for about 10 minutes. So go ahead and pause this, and then whenever you think that your painting is dry, just go ahead and press play again, and we'll get right back into it. Hopefully all of you enjoyed the little video that we had during our break. We work really hard to make these videos wonderful for you. Start off with our number 3 brush, and we want to go define the edges of where our grasses meet in our walkway. To do this, I'm going to mix some water with a little bit of black, which is going to make it glide across our canvas a lot better. And then I am going to hold my bristles to where they are elongated with the course of the line that I want to create. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to simply touch the canvas and pull. So touch the canvas and then pull. And as you can notice, my pinky is resting on the canvas. That is not only preventing me from pressing too hard, which is making it to where I'm not getting a really thick line, but it's also steadying my hand to give myself a straighter line. Once I do the left, I'm going to go ahead and do the right side as well. Now look how it's making that pathway just pop out. It's almost like we got a little curb on the side of our pathway going up right before you go into the grass. Alright, now I'm going to continue to use my number 3 brush and that black, and I'm going to go over here to the left side, and I want to do my tree. I'm going to start off on the bottom, and as I come up, they're going to get thinner and thinner as they're coming out on their branches, and I'm going to do this on both sides. So I'll start over here on my left. I'm going to go about halfway down or a little bit lower into my green. And I'm going to start just drawing this wiggly line coming up. Give yourself the indication of this tree. And as I'm coming out and up to the branches, I'm not pressing as hard. The trick here is just use the very, very tip of the bristles with that watered down black. Use your pinky on the canvas to help steady your hand and just very lightly pull. Just like that. We want these branches to get thinner and thinner as they go out. And as our tree comes down, it's going to get thicker and thicker. Just like a real tree. Now you can go in and you can put branches wherever you want to. You can put as many as you want or as few as you want. It's totally up to you. It's your painting. I think I want this guy living right up here. He's going to stretch all the way up to the top of my canvas. I like a lot of branches in my trees because you never know, even when you put your leaves on, where those branches are going to peek out from behind the leaves. So don't be afraid to go in and put a bunch of those things in there. However, if you're having a hard time getting the thinner lines and you don't want to put a lot, that's fine. Maybe in your world, your trees just don't have that many branches. Or maybe they're just hidden by a whole lot of leaves. I'm going to go over to my right side. And I'm going to start doing the same thing. Maybe this guy's coming more out towards the sunshine. Let's add a little friend. He's got another branch growing right off the top of him there. I think I want to add a little bit more thickness to my tree over here to the left. So once I get done with my tree, I'm going to smooth it out a little bit. And then we're going to want to switch to our number 2 brush. We don't want to do this next part with the number 3. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse that number 3 brush out. Put it in my cup of water. And I'm going to switch to my number 2. With that number 2, we're going to go right into the lighter area, and we're going to go approximately 3 to 4 fingers up in the very center above our horizon line. And we're going to put a little dot. So I'm going to get a little bit of black, go 3 to 4 fingers up, and place a little dot right in the center above our horizon line. Then I'm going to go place my brush on the canvas, and I'm going to draw a little arch, and that's a downward arch. Then I'm going to do another little arch on both sides of that one. And then we're going to connect all three by doing one big arch, coming off the end of both sides, going right over all three. Then we're going to just fill it in with solid black. And at this point, if you don't like the shape, you can redefine the edge a little bit. Just try not to go too big with this. Alright, once we get that filled in, we're going to go right in the center of our umbrella on the bottom, and we're going to do a little bitty line coming from the umbrella top about 3/4 of the way down to our horizon line. Just right in the center and come straight down. Then we're going to go to the left side of that line, and we're going to do an oval leaning slightly to the right. You don't want to do it too big, just a small one will suffice. You're going to go to the right side, and you're going to do another oval leaning slightly to the right, but I'm going to go down a little bit farther with this one. Now on this one, I'm going to actually bring these little swooshes coming right off the backside, coming over to the right. Start giving the indication that her hair is just flinging back.
Listen, man. Hey, yo!
I'm going to go back over to the left, and I'm going to bring a brush width line slightly coming to the left off of that oval shape. And then I'll do a line coming off of it at a 45-degree angle, coming down and to the right. We're going to make that line touch the line coming straight down from the umbrella. Then we're going to curve it right back up to our other oval. Now we're going to go and do the back side of our female. So we're going to come down, curve slightly to the left, and then round it back out to the right. And then I'm going to fill that in with black. I'm going to go back into the front of our female oval, and I'm going to add that little indication of some bangs and a nose. Then I'll go do the same thing over on the face of our male. Add a little point coming out for the nose. Maybe you want a goatee on yours, that's fine, you can add that in there. I'm going to go to the back side of our gentleman, and I'm going to start coming down just the length of the top of my finger. I'm going to fill that in slightly. Then I'm going to come from our torso of our male, and I'm going to add the second arm coming over to our female. As you notice, in between the two arms, there is a little bit of that creamy color from our background. Then we want to go to the back side of our gentleman, and we're going to curve it slightly in to the right, and then come slightly back out to the left and down. And I went a little bit further down than where we left off with the female. I want to start coming at a slight upward angle to the right. And then I want to figure out where I'm going to connect the front part of our female's jacket coming down to meet with the front part of our gentleman's jacket. I'm just going to go in and fill those areas in. I'm going to start coming down and adding the legs of our gentleman. To do this, I'm not going to go all the way to the far left edge. I'm going to come slightly to the right. I'm going to look like the tail of his jacket's kind of hanging over. And remember that the upper thigh area of a leg is going to be thicker, and as it comes down, it's going to get thinner. I'm going to angle the bottom of our female's jacket to the right and slightly down, and then I'm going to fill it all in. Now we're going to start on the female legs. The first one we're going to do, we're going to have it look like it's coming down, and then at the knee it is bending back. So we're just going to come down only halfway. We're not going to go down the full length of her leg. We're going to go down far enough to the knee, and then we're going to start curving her leg going straight to the right. And as it goes back towards the foot, it's going to get thinner and thinner. Up towards the thighs, it's thicker. Add a little bitty curve up at the top there. That would be like the heel of the foot. Then curve it back to a point where it looks like our toes are kind of pointed out. And it looks like I got her toe a little too pointed, but maybe that's the kind of shoes that she's wearing. Once we get done with that part, we're going to add the indication of the second leg coming down and just come right under the knee of the first leg. Don't have to be anything particularly special. Now next we're going to water down our black just the tiniest little bit more. And I'm just going to go start kind of scrubbing a little bit of black, going back and forth, right under our couple. And I'm doing this to give the indication of a little bit of a shadow effect, where the light behind our couple is throwing that shadow effect right down onto our pathway. That's not only giving the indication that our couple is blocking the light from coming down onto the pathway, but it also brightens up the background even more. Because as soon as you look at this now, it's giving your mind the idea that our light source is on the other side of our couple. Go in and redefine my hair a little bit more. And now we're going to switch that number 2 brush to a number 3 brush. And we're going to mix a tiniest little bit of pink. Doesn't have to be a whole lot. If you still have some of your other pink, that's fine. Just use it. And to do our leaves, I'm going to go in with my bristles horizontal. I am going to lightly touch the tip of the bristles to the canvas and press slightly to the right or the left, up to you. And I'm just going to continuously do this. Lightly touch the tip of the bristles to the canvas, going all the way around in front of our yellow, and just slightly push your brush to one side or the other. And it's going to give yourself the indication of these little leaves. And once again, I'm focusing the majority of these pink leaves in front of our yellow. As we go out toward the outer edge and upper corners, I want to add more and more purple. So I want those leaves to look like they're getting darker as they're going away from the light source. Now to come outwards, I'm going to add a little bit more purple to my brush. I don't need to clean it. I'm just going to pick a little bit of purple up right on top of that pink. And I'm going to go start putting my purple leaves in. Now you can overlap some of your pink leaves with purple, that's fine. But as we move out to that outer edge and upper corners, you just want to use more and more purple. You can even add a tiny little bit of red into your purple to make it slightly darker up on the upper corners. That's fine too. And we're going to do those leaves all the way around. Do as many of those as you want. I like putting a whole lot into mine, so I like those leaves to look full. But you go ahead and do yours the way you want. Alright, once we get done with that, we're going to rinse our brush out. And then we're going to go down and we're going to start giving a little indication of our leaves down here in our pathway. Maybe some of those leaves, the blooms have just fallen off and they're just resting down there on our pathway, here and there. Don't want to do a whole lot of them, of course, because it's a spring painting. Maybe it just got done raining, and maybe these down here on our pathway is just the reflection of our leaves up in our tree. Maybe none of them actually fell. You can add your own story to your painting. Let's just go ahead and put some down there so our little pathway isn't so lonely. Once we get done with those leaves, we're going to rinse our brush out. And I want to pick up a little bit of yellow, and I want to go do a little bit of yellow highlights in our grass. We're going to do them just like we done our green ones. Just touch the canvas and flick. Just do some yellow ones right there on top of the green. Maybe some of those grass blades are just capturing a little bit more light than the others. And so they're lighter and they stand out a whole lot more. Just gives our grass a little bit more character there. On both sides. After we get done with our yellow highlights in our grass, we're going to rinse our brush out, and we're going to take our number 1, and we're going to either sign the lower right or left side of our canvas. I'm more fond of signing the lower right. To do this, we're going to use our number 1 brush. And you're going to choose a color that's not going to clash in the area on where you're going to sign it. Choose your color paint and just go in and put your name. You don't want to put your name until your painting's completely done and you're happy with it. Putting your name on there is the indication that that is the end of the painting. And just like that, we've got a beautiful painting. Everybody, now wanting that fun? I want to thank all of you for painting with me today. I hope you had fun, and I hope to see you in one studio one day painting with us, or tune into another one of our future classes. Now, if you had fun and you liked this video, please scroll down and click on like and subscribe to our channel so you can be updated on all the stuff that we have going on with YN Canvas Indianapolis. You'll be the first to know of any new changes that we have, and trust me, we have a lot of new positive changes coming, and you'll be the first to know. So subscribe below, and please leave us a comment on what you think that we could do to make our videos better and your time with us that much more enjoyable. Also, please send us a picture of your finalized painting at our email address below. We would love to see how your paintings turned out. And once again, everybody, remember, we're making memories one painting at a time. Bye.